Hi, I'm Jenna from the Green Mountain Club, and today I'm going to tell you about a very unique and special place on the Long Trail. We're going to be heading up this mountain right behind me, Mount Mansfield. At the beginning of our hike, at the base of the mountain, I can look around and see that these trees around me are pretty tall, and I'm surrounded by lush green vegetation. As I head up the trail, I'm going to see some differences in the trees and plants around me, as it gets colder, windier, and wetter as we climb higher in elevation. Here we are on top of Mount Mansfield, Vermont's tallest mountain. As you can see, it's really different up here compared to lower down. Up here, the environment is called the Alpine zone, and it only exists on Vermont's tallest peaks. And because of this, on those peaks, the Green Mountain Club posts a caretaker to help educate hikers and protect the vegetation. Let's head up the trail and find the caretaker to ask some questions and find out more.
So the Alpine zone is obviously at a much higher elevation than the valley, and one of the side effects of that is the weather is a lot more harsh. There's a much bigger range in the temperatures that you'll see on a daily basis, and there's also a lot of wind and rain up here. And in the winter it gets very, very cold, and a lot of it freezes over. So that makes it a really harsh environment for plants to live in. And for animals to live in as well.
So why do you think it's important to protect the alpine vegetation?
One of the main things that I think of is that it's important to protect as many species on the planet as possible. And the fact that these species are so rare and exist really only up here and 2 other peaks in this whole state mean that it's especially important that we protect them here, just to preserve the biodiversity of the state. One of the biggest things that people can do as they hike up here to protect the vegetation is to not step on it, which is fairly easy as long as people stay on the rocks as they hike. There's also some walkways along the trail that are really good for that. And I usually try to remind people not to step on anything green that they see, even though it may just look like a common grass or weed. And one of the reasons that's so important is because if a plant up here is damaged, because the conditions are so difficult to grow in, it can take it a really, really long time to recover. And people can also try to help out by not camping up here, not making any fires, and not leaving trash along the ridge.
So tell us a little bit about what you do up here and what a summit caretaker does.
So summit caretakers are basically here to be kind of a helpful reminder about the different things that you can do to protect the vegetation. So we'll talk to people about the ecology and remind them to stay on the rocks as they walk.
All right, awesome. So that's the trail right there.
Right there. And you guys know about staying on the rocks as you hike?
Yeah, we don't want to kill the vegetation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other main thing we do is give hikers information about the different trails on the mountain and try to answer any questions they may have about their time up here.
Let's see. Is that way the trail?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see you at task.
Yeah, see you.
Bye, happy trails.
So Matt, what do you like about hiking?
I like the way it engages all my senses. You know, on a day like today in the summer, I start off down in the hardwood forest and it's hot and steamy, and I hike up through into the spruce fir, and it begins to grow cooler, and the wind is blowing, and then hiking up a little farther, I can smell the balsam fir, and just really enjoy seeing the clouds blow across the summits.
So the caretaker told us that we're not supposed to walk on the plants when we're up here. Why is that?
Well, the plants up here, there's a few reasons really. One is, it's easy to damage the plants here like it is anywhere. The problem is there's not much soil up here, so it's easy for if the plants, are killed because people are walking on them, the soils can wash away. And once the soils wash away, you just have this bedrock, and it takes, centuries, if not longer, hundreds of years for the plants to come back, because they need a little bit of soil. And with the way the winds blow up here, it's just hard for that all to fill in.
So when you're hiking up here in the Alpine zone, what do you do to protect the alpine vegetation?
That's an easy question. You know, it's pretty easy when I'm up here to protect the alpine vegetation. All I need to do is stay on the rocks. It's that, you know, what I do when I'm not up here that I need to be concerned about. You know, personally, I'm concerned about whether, you know, climate change or acid rain might have some effect here. So I need to think about what I'm doing when I'm off the mountain too. Well, the first time I hiked in Vermont, I went up Camel's Hump, and there was a Green Mountain Club caretaker up there, and he told me the whole story about, you know, how alpine vegetation got here, and it was pretty interesting. You know, I had no idea that, you know, these plants originated 10,000 or so years ago when the last glaciers receded from the area, and then, you know, at the time it was only alpine plants that grew in Vermont, and there were a few woolly mammoths running around, and there were, you know, the Champlain Ocean was an inland saltwater sea, and there were whales there. And so over time, these, you know, the plants have just kind of moved up onto the mountains, and there's just a few little islands of them left up here in the sky. So it's, you know, it's part of a, you know, Vermont natural heritage, and I want it to be here for my kids and their kids.
Isn't it neat that this special ecosystem exists right here in Vermont? It's important to protect this area so that people can enjoy it for years to come. I hope that someday soon you'll get a chance to come up and see the view from the top of Vermont.